Hi guys, welcome to SimLive. My name is Kiki and this video will be part of a tutorial series where I'll be modeling some custom content for the character Lara Croft from Shadow of the Tomb Raider in stages. So now we're just going to continue with her hair. So now that we've completed the meshing of the hair itself, we're just going to create a UV map, and for that we just have to start creating some seams. So the easiest one right here, I'm just diving straight into this one, is the hair bubble. So press Ctrl E and then select create seam or mark seam. And I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. I'm just going for locks of hair or parts of the hair where seams can naturally occur, or places where the seam will be hidden. So what a UV map basically is, UV maps are used to put a texture on a 3D object, but the texture obviously is just 2D, it's flat. So we're marking seams in here so we can basically unfold into a flat surface. With that comes a little bit of distortion, but it calculates all of that itself. And then on that flat 2D surface of the unwrapped object, you paste, well, not technically, not like copy paste, but basically on top of that you put the texture, and then the texture will be portrayed on your 3D object. Which is why I'm also trying to create seams that are either naturally in the crevices anyway, or where they're hidden, because otherwise you'll be able to see them once the texture is overlaid on top of them. Now I am able to get away with quite a bit in this hairstyle because it will be a darker hairstyle. If this was a blonde hairstyle, it would be a bit more difficult. I probably have to be a bit more precise. Now while I was unwrapping this, I just have to put that vertice on top of the hairline there. Otherwise there was a little gap. She would have been bold in a little spot and we didn't want that. I've forgotten what I was saying now. What was I saying? I don't remember. Oh well, I'll think of it again at some point, maybe if it comes up. It was something to do with lighter hairstyles. Oh yes, so when I was unwrapping this, I did end up with a lot of items on my UV map. So what I did for the ponytail is that I overlaid all of those parts, which you can do. Now if it would have been a lighter hairstyle, you probably would have been able to see quite a lot of seams in that, but because it is a darker hairstyle, I'm getting away with it. So if you're looking for a starter, just to try it out, a basic hairstyle. Now this one is, I dare say, a little bit more complex than a basic hairstyle, but if you were, going to try this out yourself, then I would suggest to try out a darker hairstyle like black or dark brown, just because it's a bit more forgiving than a lighter hairstyle. Now what I am doing here is I'm right clicking while pressing Alt to select the edge loop, and as you can see I'm having to deselect all of the edge loop that I don't want to mark as a seam. And now you can also see very well how the edge flow works that I talked about endlessly in my previous videos and how some of them don't really perfectly line up. I mean, they don't have to, but I mean, the cleaner your mesh is, the better, really. Now, the bottom bit here where the strands kind of part and, ooh, what is that word? Taper off. yeah, that's going to be a bit difficult there. But I'm just trying to create the seams in such a way that I think it'll be able to go flat. This is funny because when I was a child, I actually made paper animals. So you would cut out shapes and then fold them in a certain way so that they would create a 3D shape. So, I mean, if you've done that, then it does make sense. You can kind of visualize how that would work. Kind of like with clothes, or when I was a child as well, I made stuffed animals. I was very creative as a child. So basically you have a pattern for clothes or for a stuffed animal, whatever you're creating, or a paper animal, and if you connect all the seams up together, that would create either, you know, if you have clothes, a t-shirt, jacket, whatever, or if it's a stuffed animal, I made a lot of bears. It would create the 3D shape of a bear once you stuffed it with stuffing. And it's basically the same concept here. We're creating the pattern for the hair, except that in this case it doesn't necessarily need to make that much sense, because the way it will unwrap, it will stretch or deform in a certain way. So it doesn't have to be like a paper animal. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So here we are. I've just unwrapped my seamed hairstyle. And now this is the bubble. I'm just creating that, making that more straight, because there's no need for that to be so deformed. But I don't think I'll necessarily be doing that much with the rest of the hair. I will be sorting it in a certain way that it will make sense, that I can look at the item later on and go, oh yeah, that's the third lock from the front, blah blah blah. So right now I'm actually overlapping all of the ponytail items, so you can see on the left screen that I've selected all of the ponytail, and that's why they're all visible in the UV map and not the rest of it. So now I've selected the whole hair and you can see everything. So here I've just skipped across and I've already overlapped all of the ponytail, which is in the right corner. And now what I'm going to do is I'm identifying which bit of the hair is what. So that is the top of the ponytail right there, but not the bangs, just the top of the head. And I'm just moving things around so I can move that to the top of my screen, so I can recognize that later on as, oh, that's the top of the head. Just if I need to make any adjustments later on, it makes it easier to recognize where things are going wrong, or where I need to make a little bit of an adjustment, or where I need to hide a seam a bit more. But yeah, this is quite a process, I must say. So that is the bottom of the hair, just identifying that. And plus I have like the worst short-term memory ever, so I could be selecting something and I'll be like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna have to move that. Wait, which bit did I have? What was that? Oh, story of my life. So I've edited quite a lot here just in the video, because otherwise you'd be sat here for a long time watching me rearrange these things. I think these are oh yeah, so these are the bangs. I'm just identifying them as whether they are right or left, so I can move them to the respective side of the map, again for identifying purposes later on. You don't have to, but I just like to, because if I do need to make any adjustments, then it will be easier to locate the item which needs to be adjusted. And on top of this, putting them in a spot where I could easily identify them, I also have to arrange them in a certain way that they'll be able to fit in the top left corner of the UV map of the sim. So the character that we're creating comes with an entire UV map where clothes go, where accessories go, where shoes go. Well, shoes technically clothes, isn't it? Or a skin overlay. What else have we got? Hats, which is technically an accessory, but it just falls on a different part than the rest. Like bracelets or rings or earrings all have their own place on the UV map of the entire sim, which is why the hair needs to fall on a certain spot on the UV map, because otherwise it will be overlaying other items of the sim. Like for instance, you'll have eyeballs on your hair, or a ring on your hair, and we don't want that. So, but for now I'm just still rearranging to make sure it fits. So there we go. Now I've just added the hairline. I didn't do that before because otherwise I'd have to unwrap it with the rest of the hair and then find its spot on the UV map. So as you can see right now, I've added the skin to it so you can see where it falls. And now you can see that my hair is kind of overlaying the neck, because that at the top of the head is actually the back of the neck, I think, if I'm correct. So I'm just trying to find a good spot for all of this to go. The ponytail, where am I going to put that? So I will be creating other items for Lara as well, so I can't take up any other spaces because I'll need that later on for other accessories that I'll be creating for her. And now I think I am painting dirty vertexes. What am I calling this? Yes. So what I'm going to do right now, just created a new material right there. I'm going to go to Vertex paint. As you can see, the hairline is green, and that will be for slider compatibility later. But that's fine. I don't need the hairline Vertex painted. And then I'm just baking that onto the map that I just created. And that leaves me with a dirty Vertex painted map. Oh wait, I'm baking it now. So there it is. It's baked, and as you can see, so all the places where things are overlapping on the UV map, that has a lot of artifacts on it. But that's fine because I can just delete that in Photoshop, fix that. But that's just given me a nice map for shadows. So that's already got the 3D information on there for my flat texture, which is a nice little cheat there. A nice little cheat. So what am I doing right now? I am selecting the hairline for some reason. I'm separating it. I'm probably going to paint the vertexes now to make it slider compatible. Yes, I've just undone the painting of the dirty vertexes because the map has now been baked, and now I can paint this green. And that is so that it can move with the sliders. But I need to unwrap it first as a cylinder. So, la 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 la. There we go. We're going to go to UV map 1, which is the one that is for the sliders. So this is if in-game you're making the head larger, wider, or longer, then the hair will actually move with that, rather than just the head clipping through the hair. So now we've unwrapped it as a cylinder. It needs a little bit of fixing because it's going past the area right there. So I'll just pull all of that in. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm eyeballing all of this. I think in the end, the ponytail and the hair floofs should have overlaid the neck area a lot more. Because right now we're putting it on the map. I think my theory is how it corresponds with where it is on the sim. That is my theory, anyway. And then we move it to the side. So basically I doubled it in width and then moved it to the side. And that is what UV map 1s look like in Sims Hair themselves, although there's probably some stuff that I'm missing here. And that makes it slider compatible once we have Vertex painted it. So we're just getting rid of that screen. That is it, UV1 0 and UV1, UV0 and UV1 unwrapped. And now we're just going to paint this green. So I've selected all the faces, and then I'm just putting the hex code in here for the green that the EA uses. And that is assigned that hair to that UV1 map. And that should make it slider compatible. Now we're saving that. Or not. What am I doing? Oh yeah, now I need to weight paint it. So I've just saved that and appended this hairstyle, which I'm going to use for weight painting. I'm just going to deselect the hat cuts that I don't need for that. And we're gonna go to, oh yeah, I'm subdividing. I was wondering, why did I go to edit mode? I'm subdividing this hair before weight painting it, just to get a smoother weight paint. And now we're going to go to weight paint. And as you can see, the hair is currently blue because the bone that is selected, the outbrow, is not connected to the outbrow, basically, and that's why it's blue. So red means connected, blue means not, or assigned, or you know, whatever you want to call it. So we're just transferring those weights, and now I'm just going down the list to see if it's worked. And there we go. As you can see, that ponytail and that hair. And I'm just gonna need to adjust the front there because for some reason, well, the hair that I used as for weight transferring didn't have bangs, so that's probably why it didn't include the bangs in my weight paint. So I'm just gonna attach that to the head by making it red, by adding weight. And as you can see on the right there, I've got the head bone selected. That's why it's adding it to the head. And now I'm adding the hair, a ponytail hairstyle, the one that I also kind of used to steal the hairline from. And that's because I'll be importing the new hairstyle over this hairstyle in the Sims 4 Studio. I'm not going to create any hat cuts for this, but the hair will have hat cuts in it, so I'm just joining this hairstyle to all the hat cuts and then deleting the original hairstyle, and that's transferring all the data from that into the new hairstyle. And when I import it in the Sims 4 Studio, which means that you won't be able to see the old hairstyle, which sometimes happen if you don't have all the information in there. You can also do this manually. You have to type like text somewhere. There's tutorials for that, but this is just the lazy, simple way. And now I am decimating these hairstyles. And I think I've decimated this hat cut, Studio 1, as a 0.7 and then the rest as a 0.8. Probably you would want to keep them all the same, but I don't think it's visible in this case. But you would want to cut them down in the same amount. That was just a whoopsie. But it's fine, you can't see it, so. And decimating basically decreases the level of detail and also gives it less faces, less vertices, so less information to be loaded into the game itself. And level of detail stands for if you're zoomed into the character, you're going to have a lot of detail. Once you zoom further out, you're going to have less detail because you don't need quite as much detail. You could import your high detailed mesh over all of the level of details, but then again your package file would be quite big, and then if everybody made like huge package files, then you know it all takes up space in the computer. So you're trying to keep the package file smaller. So I think there's 4 level of details. There's level of detail 0, there's level of detail 1, 2, and 3. And I think I misnamed one earlier on, and that's why I had to go back and rename it. But we're just working on the last level of detail at the moment, so once that is saved, we are ready to continue on to the next step, which is actually creating the texture itself. So I'll hope you'll join me for the next video. Have a lovely day and see you later. Bye-bye!